In mid-2014, my parents had my internet cut off. They thought it would help me focus more on my grades. It was a punishment just as much as anything. This was not the first time they had done this, and it would not be the last time either. But, I had a new Android phone, so I still had access to the internet on that. And it was out of a sense of spite that I did not, give in to what they want and all that. But, one day, I was bored out of my mind. My mom was vacuuming down the hallway, and I was just sitting in the kitchen at the computer table in a chair, just looking at my phone, and I decided to, just search on YouTube My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, MLPFIM, just to see what popped up. My friend had recommended it to me one day, and I had at the time had a similar opinion that a lot of people at the time did of bronies and everything. I had heard of it before, and I did not think a whole lot of it. I had thought about considering checking out the show way back in 2013 when I first heard about it, when I started seeing these 3D models of characters from the show named like Applejack or Fluttershy start showing up in the early days of Steam Workshop on Gary's mod. And I was just like, hey, that's weird. Why is My Little Pony showing up here? So I did a little digging around then, and I found out about that, and I almost checked out the show, and then I watched the, kids react to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, kids react to bronies from the Fine Brothers, and I backed out from actually checking it out after watching that video, and I'm sad that I did, because that, kept me from checking out the show for like a whole nother year or two. But either way, one day out of boredom, I decided to check out the show, because you couldn't be anywhere on the internet then, and still can't even now for the most part without seeing someone with a pony profile picture or a reference to a pony in some way, shape, or form. So I look up on YouTube, and I just click on the first thing that pops up, and it's an episode from season 4 called Rainbow Falls. And I find myself smiling a bit and laughing at the antics of Bulk Biceps and learning the names of all these characters named like Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy and all these others. And I was familiar enough with the show to recognize a couple of the background characters, like Nick Derpy, for example. Because, even though I had very little knowledge of the show, I still knew who that was. So, I'm watching this, and then, here comes Derpy. And he's like, oh, we have someone who can help us backup team when Rainbow tries to, fake being injured. And Derpy shows up, and she smiles, and she waves her flag. I'm like, oh, hey, Derpy, that's pretty neat. What I didn't realize or find out until later was, though I reacted just like, oh, hey, look at that. That was a moment that threw the fandom for a loop. That was the first time Derpy had returned since the controversy all the way back in Season 2, but I didn't know that. So I delved deeper and deeper and started finding out more. And at first I was just like, oh, that's pretty neat. And then I discovered the likes of Button's Adventures. And, the best pony videos of July 2013 or stuff like that. all these PMVs and effects and songs and all this amazing stuff. And as I went in further and further, I discovered Cupcakes and Rainbow Factory, and seeing that they're, you know, such dark and scary and crazy stuff like that came out of from people who watched a show based around a kid's property from the 1980s. I realized that there had to be more to this, so I kept digging. I looked up show times on the TV. I found myself delving deeper and deeper. You know, like, there had to be more to this. What is it about this show that, you know, makes people want to write stories about them eviscerating each other? And I discovered the likes of Fallout Equestria, Past Sins. I watched Snowdrop and bawled my eyes out, and watching that and crying over, you know, a story about a little pony. Laughing my ass off at Button's Adventures, reading all these amazing stories, seeing this art, watching the show religiously every day when I came home from school. I considered myself a fan, and I started actively watching just in time for the season 4 finale, with Twilight versus T-Rex, where I turned the volume up to maximum and watched it all in its glory. And seeing what was essentially a Dragon Ball Z-esque fight made me realize, this is amazing. And then the hiatus from Season 4 to Season 5 came in, and that worked out perfectly for me because that gave me time to familiarize myself with everything. Binge watching Season 1 on Netflix at my grandparents' house over a weekend. Watching every episode I could. Reading all these fanfics. Seeing all this fan art. All this fan content. Learning and learning some more. And starting to write. Little tidbits and, you know, creating OCs and just falling in love. And then I find out about conventions and all this fan content, how amazing this fandom is, how weird it is, the controversies surrounding it, which really amounted to nothing. And finding out that the biggest convention for the fandom was only a few hours away from where I lived, in Baltimore, Maryland, and I wanted to go. By this point, Season 5 premiered, and it was 2015, and I was on the verge of graduating, and I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life. But there was one thing I did know I wanted to do. All the graduation money, or like the graduation party money I was gifted, went into buying a ticket last minute for BronyCon 2015. I threw together a Rainbow Factory cosplay at like the very last minute, and ended up staying at the Marriott, had to wait, you know, hours in line to get John Delancey's autograph, getting M.A. Larson's to autograph a toothbrush, and just meeting all these people I recognized from videos. Saber Spark and AC Race Best, and, you know, seeing these voice actors in person, and seeing all these fans attending Bronypalooza, blowing all my money on an Apple Bloom plushie that cost like $250, and getting all these posters and little gadgets and toys and collectibles, and just having the time of my life, and realizing that I could finally just come out of my shell a bit and just be a little funny and silly because I knew everyone who was there for the same reason I was. To have fun, to talk about a show, to hang out with people who love this show. And it was the best weekend of my life. And it completely changed my life. And then in 2016, I created a YouTube channel. This YouTube channel. And I started, just writing and learning and reading all these fan fictions. And through all of that, I discovered the likes of Obab Scribbler and The Lost Narrator, Magpie Pony and Goody Serenade, Wooden, and so many, many more. The works of Tridashi and Argo Demon. And through it all, I continued to work on this story that I'd been working on since I first joined the fandom in 2014. And as it went, I got more and more confident, more and more involved, more and more improved, all because of this show about ponies. About the main character literally being named Twilight Sparkle. And, watching the show, I went from being an introverted bookworm who had a whole ton of social anxiety, and still does, to being more confident and able to chat with people and hold conversations and actively looking forward to talking and meeting with people. Having a creative outlet and being able to express it in such a way and being able to get feedback and meet people, and all this, and that, and everything else. And it absolutely blows my mind. And to see my channel, which was only supposed to be a little thing, grow, and people actively saying how amazing my stuff is, to go from, just dreaming about one day being able to work with Obab Scribbler, on her projects, or being able to meet, Tara Strong and M.A. Larson and, the Bronies React crew. To go from that to, being someone who, is... was recognized at this year's BronyCon. To go from just little to so involved, for people to actively recognize me at conventions and be like, oh hey, you're that guy. I love your stuff. You're awesome. Can I get a picture? To go from, just following to actively collaborating with some of your favorite, YouTubers, to some of your favorite content creators in the fandom. It's humbling, it's mind-blowing. And it all started because I decided to check out a show one day out of boredom. And it completely changed my life. As I record this, we are less than 12 hours away from the end of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. As I record this right now, and as this is uploaded, we are less than 8 hours away from the end of a show that was probably only supposed to last all of 2 seasons, if not that. Probably, get a single season, maybe another, and then get canceled because toy sales. But it didn't. In 2010, Lauren Faust created a show that has gone on to last well over a decade. MLP's birthday was just 2 days ago. This series is 9 years old. And here we are 9 years later. Here we are 9 years later with, 200 plus episodes. So many specials, an entire spin-off series, and a theatrical movie, and a TV movie. Thousands and thousands and thousands of fanfics and works, and an entire sub-fandom. Music and art and videos. People's lives have been saved because of this show. People have met and fallen in love because of this show. And at this year's closing ceremonies for BronyCon, AC Racebest put it best. He said along the lines of, though this convention is ending, BronyCon is not the fandom. Though the show may be ending, the show is not the fandom. And the fandom is not done. There is going to be fan content created for this show for years to come. Bronies have become synonymous with fandoms and geek culture and everything. To proudly sit alongside the likes of, Trekkies, Firefly fans, and some of the oldest and most devoted fan bases out there that have become a staple of pop culture. Our time in the limelight may have faded after about 2013, 14, 15, when the hype died down, though our numbers may not be as great as they used to be, we are still here, and we will continue to be here. And though the show may be ending, the fandom lives on. It's in our hands now to continue these stories for years and years to come. There's going to be fan songs, there's going to be fan videos, there's going to be fanfic readings and narrations. I am not going to be stopping what I'm doing anytime soon. And only now am I actually starting to get around to working on some of the stories I have planned on writing out about this show. My word doesn't mean a whole lot. I am not horse famous by any means of the word. And in all honesty, I don't really want to. But I am someone who is passionate about this fandom. It's given me an outlet for my creativity. It's allowed me to, just try and figure out who I am and who I want to be. It's made me realize how much I love voice acting, on writing, on editing, on all of these things. It's made me realize how thankful I am for, all of this. And it may be ending, but it is not over by any means. As a comment on Prince Whatever's Solidarity multi-animator video put it, who wants to help me out and get behind a car, who wants to help me push this thing, the ride never ends. And it's true. The ride is not going to end. There are people who are still writing fanfics about the original series of Star Trek. There are still people who are writing stories and creating videos and artwork based around Firefly. And it's not over. There's Generation 5. We're not going anywhere. I certainly am not. I'm going to be creating content based around this fandom for as long as I can, really. And Lord knows there is no shortage of quality content to create here. And some of your favorite fandom creators are not going to be stopping anytime soon either, I can assure you of that. This is all some off-the-cuff, random ramblings for most of my part. This is like raw, unedited, it's just right off the top of my head, but it is something I needed to say, as, you know, the realization of what is about to happen in about 10 to 8 hours sinks in. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is ending at about 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. I will be watching along, and I'm going to be crying. And then when it's over, I'm going to go right back to creating. Because this world isn't dead. It's in our hands now. We're going to be okay. This is just a new chapter for the fandom. Much like The Next Generation, or the original series of Star Trek, much like for Harry Potter and, you know, Firefly and, you know, all these other series that ended a long time ago, but still have such a valuable and passionate fan base. We are not going anywhere anytime soon. There are going to be more fanfics, more stories, more writings. It is in our hands to carry this universe onwards, and to carry these characters onwards. Some of the best things out of fandoms came after the official show had ended. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna make it through this. I'll see you all next time. I'll see you all Monday for a new reading from yours truly. And stay tuned for more Pony. We're gonna be okay, everyone. I want to thank you all so very, very much. Thank you to Jim Miller, Lauren Faust, M.A. Larson, Tara Strong, Andrea Libman, Ashley Ball, Tabitha St. Germain, Kelly Sheridan, Michelle Krieber, everyone, Peter New, all the fandom creators, young, old, those who have retired, those who have left, those who have moved on, everyone, for making this fandom what it is. And this fandom is not done. Thank you, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. You'll always have a place in my heart. Until then, stay awesome, everyone. And goodbye. Until next time.